Hey friends, let's talk about building good credit today. After a while, I was like, whoa, this is something you can gamify. So I use Credit Karma to track everything, and I'll show you that right here. Let's take a look at how to get a great credit score. I just realized it went up a lot like this today. I was like, what? 17 points? So Equifax is weirdly 18 points more than the TransUnion. So that's been consistent. Equifax is always way more. Basically, from what I understand, I've just reduced my spending in all categories. I'll just use screenshots because it's easier to see probably.
I'm using Credit Karma, though there's a lot of different services you can use, such as Mint. And here's the front page on their app, and they give you a few kind of tips for how to improve your score, as well as different mortgage possibilities and offers for other credit cards. Next, they mostly use TransUnion and Equifax, and they'll show you your timeline for those. Scores and associated factors. 6 are shown here, along with their relative impacts. So let's discuss these.
A few things that go into credit factors are payment history. So that's easy now. I think the advent of auto pay has made everyone just bump their credit scores. It's just difficult to forget when you don't have to remember and the machine does it for you, right? So that's it. And then credit card utilization. This is where you can get conflicting advice, but a few tips there. The credit utilization rate is the percent that you use of that rotating credit. And if, for example, you buy something and the next day or week you pay it off before the credit agency looks at your record, then it's basically looked at as if nothing happened. So if you bought something for 10 grand and you paid 10 grand the next day, the only problem is, of course, you might have a credit limit, but there are certain cards such as the American Express ones, which I don't have. As far as I know, the Platinum and Gold are kind of the signature American Express cards, and those aren't really great for quarantine conditions or just making your own meals and shopping at Costco and Trader Joe's and Ralph's like I do. Yes, the credit utilization, long tangent, is the percent that you use out of the percent available credit. This is where some people say, oh yeah, don't get more than 3 credit cards or whatever else. It looks bad if you have like 20. Actually, no, if you pay the balance off in full on time every month, which you can do easily by signing up for auto pay, it's not a problem, and it'll actually help your credit score. It'll increase the total amount of credit you have. Yeah, so it'll be a benefit actually. So get as many cards as you can efficiently manage, basically. If you want, of course, if you want to keep it simple and just have one card, that's perfectly awesome as well. But it does help to have at least a few cards that you rotate to show that you can manage more than one card as well. It also helps to have different types of credit. So student loans, car loans, mortgages, personal loans, different types of credit helps your credit mix. Above, like say a 750, there's really no point in going crazy about your score because it doesn't really matter at that point. You already have benefits of the best rates, and really above 700, that's great as well. So it's just getting over that hump as like the good category will get you close to the best rates. So let's see what else they say. So there's payment history, credit card utilization, derogatory marks. They say derogatory marks stay on your report for 7 to 10 years. So that's a long time. So I suppose those are like bankruptcies. I'm curious if liens are included and other things.
According to this website, Lexington Law, there are tax liens that are included, as well as other aspects, late payments for over 30 days, a charge-off, civil judgments that are unpaid, debt settlements. All of these can remain on your report for at least 7 years. There's also foreclosures and bankruptcies. And Chapter 11 relates to businesses, so it doesn't really relate to personal credit and loans. Concerning personal credit, there's Chapter 13 and Chapter 7 bankruptcies. So let's look at these right now. Chapter 7 is liquidation bankruptcy, whereas Chapter 13 is reorganization, which is the less severe form. And one of the main differences is you're able to keep your property instead of selling it to discharge your debt. In Chapter 7, you also have to have a very low disposable income, whereas in Chapter 13, you have to have less than a certain amount of debt. So that's a little summary of bankruptcies for you there.
The age of the credit history, like a yin and yang. Like if you always get new cards, and for example, some large banks like Chase don't allow you to. They have a 5 out of 24 rule where you cannot get more than 5 credit cards in a 24-month period, or at least they frown upon it and look at you as one of these credit card churners who basically just pump and dump credit cards for the benefits. I don't believe in that. I think that's kind of a ding to your integrity in a sense. That's up to you, and it's within the rules, and it's cool. Just be out there and go do you, and I have nothing against it. So the more credit cards you get, the younger your history is, or you have on time all the time, they usually automatically increase it, limited, and or they see if they have a big purchase, and maybe you do need more credit, but you're always responsible with it. And I would say always use less than, it differs, but of course, if you can use less than 1%, 5%, 10%, 10% is kind of the golden rule, and 30% is another one. And it actually matters for certain cards. I realize, like if you have one card that has a limit of $1,000 and another one that has 10 grand, it will mark you down a little bit if you spend $500 on the one with $1,000. It's not the entirety of your credit, because I've noticed that if I place an order on like a store card and the credit limit is not very high and it's say 20%, my credit score will go down. I just keep the notifications on just to keep aware of it and check it probably once a month, though I believe it's updated weekly. I mean, I had maybe a month or two where I was more obsessive about it, but that tide has turned, so not doing that anymore. If you're about to buy a mortgage or apply for a loan, it's important because then you can get better rates with a better credit score. Total accounts, they also show you the number of accounts that you've had throughout your entire life. Like Victoria's Secret card, I don't know why I got that when I was a teenager, but shows you I'm a millennial, because I don't think kids these days even care about Victoria's Secret. Account mix, they have stated here, includes credit cards, real estate, auto, student, and other loans. Yeah, so we went over it basically. Inquiries are a bit of a temporary ding. There's 2 types of inquiries, hard and soft inquiries. Usually if you're just online and you want to see what your credit score is, it's not going to be a hard inquiry or hard pull. It will just be a soft pull, and that's okay. It won't affect this portion. But if you go apply for an in-store card at, say, Macy's, or for whatever boutique online, it's going to give you a hard inquiry, and that will ding your credit score for a little bit. And these hard inquiries stay on your record for 2 years and automatically fall off at that point. Those are basically the few categories to look through in a credit report: the payment history, the utilization rate, which you should try to keep under 30%, derogatory marks, the age of your credit history, which is balanced with your credit utilization, because the more cards you have, the larger the denominator in essence is for your credit card utilization, because it's like what you use over how much credit you have. And like the more cards you have, of course, the larger that part is.
Here's the formula just for further clarification.
So credit card utilization and age of credit history almost link together. And then your total accounts and hard inquiries. The most important ones are, of course, your payment history, how much of your credit you use, because if you're maxing it out or going over every time, that's not a great sign. And your derogatory marks, like that could mean more serious misjudgments in a way. So those are the three most important. Then the less important ones are the age of your credit history. That's why I recommend a few cards with higher limits, but not necessarily having 20, but also not having 2. Hard inquiries and total accounts have a low impact according to Credit Karma. So those are kind of the 6 factors they take into account right there.
To simplify, I tend to not think about total accounts as a defining factor because it's inversely proportional to age of your credit history and also ties into your utilization rate, because the more accounts you have, the more credit available you have. So I'm crossing it off the list to give you 5 key factors for determining your credit score. The ultra TLDR is that you want your payment history and age of credit to be high, while your utilization rate, derogatory marks, and hard inquiries to be low.
Let me know your crazy credit stories, if you want to repair things, how it's going for you guys.
Thank you. Plus, any other questions, comments, or specific topics you'd like to hear about credit. Thanks for watching, and please consider liking, subscribing, or commenting. See you guys next time.